Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Today we will continue our multiplying decimals, and today we're going to add on some more decimal places inside of our factors. So make sure you have your journals open, ready to write down and take notes. If you did not do lessons from Monday and Tuesday, please go back to Monday, finish Monday, then move to Tuesday, finish Tuesday, and then head to today's. Please don't skip any steps because we're building every day. So before we get moving on, what is multiplying? What does the problem say? Remember, this is just 832 times 28. Remember the basic steps of that. It is 28 groups of 832. We are going to take a look at this one and go through the steps of it as well. So if we are thinking about the steps of 832 times 28, it's just your basic steps, and we're going to work through that right now together. So inside of your journals, go through the steps. If you need to, pause the video here and follow through the steps and then check back in with me. So if you went through this, you should have gotten an answer of 23,296. Remember, this doesn't have any decimals. So we went through 8 times 2 is 16, 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25, 8 times 8 is 64, plus 2 is 66. Then you cross out everything, drop down your 0, and then you have 2 times 2, which is 4. 3 times 2, which is 6, and 8 times 2, which is 16. Then you should have had a plus sign and added 6 plus 0, 6, 5 plus 4, 4, or is 9, 6 plus 6 is 12, 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13, and 2 plus 2 is 2. And so you have 23,296. Now this does not have any decimals, it's just the regular number. But let's look at the next one. What happens when we have money? Well, you would do the same exact steps as you would. This just has a decimal place that's in it. So pause the video here and get your equation completed again and check back in with me in just a minute. So it says, what does this problem say? When we have money, we have $8.32 times 28. So you're adding up $8.32 28 times. So when we talk about decimals, remember the very first step of it is to forget about your decimal and do your regular multiplications, what you should have done. Then after that, you look inside of the two factors and see how many total decimal jumps there are. So we have 1, 2. So we have 2 here and nothing in the second one. So then I would just do my jumps here. So there's my decimal. So this one, instead of being 23,296, now it changes to $232.96. Now, what would happen if we add in another decimal? Now I have $8.32 times 2 and 8/10. This is less than 3 groups of $8.32. So the answer must be less than 24, right? Well, let's check and see. So go ahead, do all of your multiplication again, and then check back in with me here in just a second, and let's check to make sure that our equation is correct and we add in our decimals. So pause the video here, do your multiplication again, and add in decimals where needing to be. Okay, so here we have $8.32 times 2 and 8/10. So we're going to check our decimal places. You should have a jump here, that's 2. Oh, but the second one has another jump, so there is another one there. So if you do your total jumps, 2 plus 1 is your 3. So you would have to jump 3 times in your total. 1, 2, 3. So your answer reads 23 and 286 thousandths as the answer. Multiplying decimals. Now just remember on multiplying decimals, just multiply, ignore the decimal first. Then when you're finished, count out how many total numbers are jumped behind the decimals or to the problem. Then you put the decimal total in the product, the same number of decimal places that you counted. So first you just normal multiplication, then add up the total number of decimal place jumps in your factors, and then you do that for the end part. Put the decimal places in the right place according to how many decimal places there are in all in your factors. Okay, so here is a few equations, and I want you to pause the video here, and I want you to check and see if you got your answers correct. So pause the video here, and then we're going to go through and check your answers. Okay, so if you got these, check and make sure that you did the first step correctly. Remember, you have 3/10 times 4. There is one decimal here, so I'm going to put that over here. There are 0 here. So if I were to jump my decimals, I should have jumped one time for 1 and 2/10. Same with here. I have 3 times 6/10, and I have 0, and I have 1. So I just do my one jump there for 1 and 8/10. And here I have 12/100 times 4. There are 2 decimal jumps in this first one and 0 here. So it's a total of 2 jumps. So you jump once, jumps twice, and there is your decimal right here for 48/100. And then the last one, you have 4/10, which is 1 decimal jump, 7/10, which is 1 decimal jump for 2 jumps, 1, 2 decimal places there. And you have 98/100. So check and make sure you did those correctly. All right, here we have 4 more that I want you to try on your own. It gets to be a little bit longer in the end, but remember it's the same process steps. And go through and solve your problems here and then check back in with me. So as you look through, you should have a 15 on E, 36 on F, 75 on G, and 225 on H. Now we're going to count up our total jumps. So on E, you have 2 total jumps, so you should have 15/100 as your answer. Then on F, you have only 1 jump, so you should have 3 and 6/10. On G, you have 2 total jumps, so you would have 75/100. And on H, there's 2 on the first one and 1 jump on the second one, so you go 1, 2, and 3 for 225/100. All right. Now, check and see if you got the correct answer. Did you get C, A, B, or C on the first one? You should have B is your answer. B as your answer. F, you should have, let's see, 2 times 3 is 6, and 3, only 1 decimal place. You should have. Check and see if you get the correct answer on this one. After you multiply it out, you should get C. Let's try this one. Here's your G. 5 times 5. You should have gotten 75/100. And H. You should have gotten B. So check and make sure that your answers are correct on those. And here we go, moving on. And your summary. Multiplying decimals is like multiplying whole numbers. Multiply like normal. Count out how many decimal jumps that are behind the decimals for the whole problem, all your factors. Then add them up and do that many jumps from the right to the left in your final product. And that concludes our lesson for today on multiplication. Make sure that you practiced those before you do the independent work, because the independent work is the part that is the graded part. Once you get finished with this, your independent work is going to be here, and it's on a Google Docs. It says independent practice multiplying decimals, and you have 10 10 equations, and then you have one word problems where these are decimals and it is bigger and it does get harder. So make sure that you take your time, go through the steps, write these down on a piece of paper and go through the steps. If you have questions, remember to ask me, and I will see you here in just a little bit.